Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Armchair Booking Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Stunning Steve Barber. Joining me as my co-host is, as always, Delicious Dwaylen Davis.
Hey, everybody.
And for those of you watching on YouTube, first of all, hopefully the new intro video, looks good. But if you notice, we have a third person with us, and this is wrestler at the NWF. But there's a surprise with her also. There's more than just the wrestler here, but this is Jax Stinger. How you doing, Jax?
Good. How are you?
Doing all right, doing all right. And I gotta say, I mean, you're the first active duty military person we've ever had on the show because you are a captain in the Army.
Yes, that is correct.
And I've always been trying to figure out how do you balance that, being in the Army and of course, okay, first, why the Army, not the Air Force? I'm kind of partial. So, got a little bit of a biased opinion, but how do you balance that? Um, doing both because I know how busy one will keep you.
Yeah, well, when I started wrestling, I kind of waited until I got to an assignment where I had a little bit more free time.
Okay.
And just kind of I was near Cincinnati, and so I just kind of Googled like wrestling schools near me and then found one that I liked. And it actually I had been there for maybe a year. Yeah. So I got there in 2020. I had been there a year before I even actually started seriously looking into doing the wrestling. Um, but on my Army side, I was in recruiting, and so that was an assignment where it allowed me a little bit more free time and a little bit more predictability, I'd say. So I kind
Yeah,
of figured out, didn't have to go to the field, don't have to worry about, super intensive training cycles, things like that. So it really allowed me to explore the other things that I like that was not Army.
right. So do you have like any social media for your wrestling?
I do have an Instagram.
Okay.
It's just Jax Stinger at Jax Stinger on Instagram. That's it for right now, though.
Okay. So hopefully more in the future.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
just trying to get better at social media presence. It's definitely
Uh,
something you got to practice.
Well, speaking of social media, I'll go ahead and give our contact and listing info. If you'd like to email the show, email us at armchairbookingpodcast at gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/armchairbookingpodcast. You can find us also on Instagram at armchairbooking. You can find us on Twitter at bookingarmchair. You can find us on TikTok at armchairbooking.podcast. If you're on YouTube, you already know about that channel. That's the only video outlet that I know of. But as far as audio platforms go, we're on just about every kind of audio platform you can think of. If we're not there, let one of us know. Let Jackie know. She'll let us know.
For
Yeah,
sure.
so we'll do what we can to get ourselves added. You can also find Dwaylen on Twitter at fat_daddy73 because he is the fat daddy and his lovely wife is Big Mama.
That's legit.
Not the Big Mama you know. There, Miss Jax. Not your Big Mama, you know what I'm talking about,
Hmm.
but his own Big Mama. But they have met on Zoom, but they
Yeah,
have met.
yeah.
But he has his, but they have their own TikTok and YouTube called Big and Fat. Those nice
That
combination.
is legit. I
Yep.
like that.
So
Thank you.
yep. And I also have my own other podcast as well called the Cubicle Chad. This is my way of talking about other things besides wrestling, and Dwayne has his way of talking about other things besides wrestling. Because as much as what we love wrestling, sometimes we want to talk about other things.
Yeah, yeah.
Because yeah. And if you want some of our merchandise, Miss Jax, you've actually seen my armchair booking T-shirt. Yeah, you can always go to tpublic.com/user/armchair-booking-podcast. Boom. Did I forget anything, Dwayne?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah. Now, hopefully, if I did everything right, I'll be able to put it across the
Hmm.
the video as we were talking about it. I did a lot of experimenting with video this weekend. And Jackie, if you don't notice, you got somebody watching you right here. That's Wildcat. He's watching to make sure this goes okay. So
I'll do my best.
Yeah, do your best because you don't want cat coming after you.
No, you don't.
One of the nicest people I could ever I've ever met though. But at the same time, I mean, I'm watching him when he's watching the reaction. I'm like, I'm not even trying to talk to him right now because he's looking pretty intense. Right. So you said as far as your time in the business, you started in 2020.
So I came to like the Cincinnati area in 2020, but I didn't actually get into wrestling until the following summer in 21.
Okay, right when the COVID restrictions were starting to kind of lift. Because I remember seeing you pull security at some of the matches.
Yes. Yeah.
And for some reason, even then, I'm like, that girl's in the military. You just had, there's a look. You know what I'm talking about. There's a look certain people have. You're like, that person's in the military. So a lot of times with guys, it's the hair.
Yeah.
But with girls, I mean, it's like a certain stare. You're like, okay, she's serious. So, and then lo and behold, I was right. But you were originally from Michigan?
I am, yes.
So Wolverine?
Through and through.
I am not a Buckeye. I am not originally from this area. So I am not part of that whole thing that happens in the end of November when everybody starts referring to that state up north or whatever the state down, that I'm like, no, North Carolina. But I can also kind of claim Kentucky, not the school. But that's actually Dwayne and I, we met in Hopkinsville, which is right by Fort Campbell.
Okay.
My stepdad, that's where he PCS too. But the summer between my freshman and sophomore year.
Okay.
So Dwayne knows all about living in an army town.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
But when you were in Michigan, okay, now my watch is trying to talk to me right in the middle of the interview. So what was your background growing up? Were you into sports? Were you into performing? Because I know there's some wrestlers who were like theater kids, and so that's also something else that they can bring into the sport. So what was yours?
I can't say that I was any of those. I was a JROTC kid when I was in high school. That was what I did. I didn't play any sports or anything like that. Like as part of the high school. So when I was when I finished up my freshman year of high school, I did start playing softball for like a community league. But it was co-ed and I was the youngest person on the team. So I did that for 6 years. But besides that, I wasn't into, I specifically didn't play any sports or anything like that. I was just always part of JROTC. And then I did like color guard, drill team. Literally any team that we had, I was on it. But yeah, that was kind of what I did in high school. And then in college, it's just continued playing with that same softball league. And then I was on the color guard for the senior ROTC program. And then that was kind of it as far as sports teams goes.
So where'd you go to college?
University of Michigan, Dearborn.
Okay. So what inspired you to become a wrestler? Did you watch wrestling as a kid, or was it
definitely?
Okay,
that was my thing. As a kid, was like watching wrestling, just week in and week out. And it wasn't until I obviously like in the 90s there was DX, and I got really into China, just because she was one of the first females that I saw anyway that was, I mean, she was strong, like physically strong.
Yeah.
You could see how strong she was. She showed it in the ring. And it wasn't just about, you know, the bra and panty match
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
things that they did with women wrestlers back then. And even though that was still during the time that she wrestled, like just her whole being was just like something different. And it was something that like I could see myself doing.
Right.
And so China was your favorite wrestler, I'm assuming, or was there some other ones that you liked?
Yeah, well, I like China. I liked Mickey James. I was really into Beth Phoenix when she like first came out, just because she kind of symbolized that same kind of
Mm-hmm.
energy with just like the strength, you know. Um, and then as far as like the men wrestlers go, I don't really know why, but when I was a kid, I was like really into Test. Um, like back then, it wasn't really like focused on like the wrestling kind of thing. It was just like I really like Test, and I'm like I don't remember anything about him except for that I liked him for some reason. And then later on, I got really into like John Cena when he had like the Doctor Thugonomics kind of thing going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Really into Batista. That was like for the longest time, Batista was like my favorite wrestler. Like I had posters like on my walls, and I was like really into it. So it was pretty great.
So you were down in Cincinnati and you looked up, okay, wrestling schools in the area, and of course you came across Bone Crushers,
Yes.
which once again, I mean, I know I'm a little biased just because I know a lot of the people now at Bone Crushers. I'm friends with them, but I've seen the product coming out of Bone Crushers, and I know it's just absolutely one of easily one of the best schools anybody can go to as far as wrestling goes. And
Definitely.
oh yeah, because I mean, you see, you got Wildcat, there he is, as the top trainer, and and that's a guy who's been, like top of the mountain, so he could tell you all the way from the bottom to the top and back everything you're going to experience. And I mean, and what do you think, Joel? He was probably one of our favorite interviews we've ever
Oh
done.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. But I could tell he really cares about what he does as far as the training goes, and he makes sure everybody is ready. Um, so have you had an opportunity to train anywhere else, or so what are you doing now that you're in Missouri? Because even if you could drive back to Cincinnati every weekend, I know the Army would kind of frown on you driving that far back every single weekend.
Definitely would. Right now I'm just kind of taking a break of sorts just to get kind of into the rhythm of this new position that I'm in. And then honestly, I'm just kind of feeling it out from there. Unfortunately, I'm in like literally the middle of nowhere. And so the majority, really all of the wrestling schools and like promotions and things like that that are in Missouri are around the larger cities.
Hmm.
So Kansas City, St. Louis, and even in Des Moines, Iowa. But they're all like 2 hours, 45 minutes
Right.
one
Oh,
way.
okay.
And so like that's I would have to not be working on a Saturday or like whenever,
Hmm.
something is going on. And that's a 3 hour drive almost one way. So um right now I'm just kind of filling this job out. There are some times where I do have to work on like Saturday just to do like some training event with cadets. So I just don't have that predictability at the moment to kind of pursue it further.
Right.
Yeah. But I do look forward to wrestling again.
Because Dwaylen, remember we know somebody in Kansas City.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, guy, Big Country Matt Stockdale.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of wrestling part time because I know he has some other stuff going on
Yeah.
his Facebook. But yeah, if you need somebody, we can get you in touch with him. He could maybe steer you in a good direction.
Okay,
Um,
that'd be
so
great.
um, so as far as like matches go, what are some of your favorite matches you've been in, and then some of your favorite matches that you have watched?
Ooh. Um, well, I'll say my favorite match that I specifically was in was my debut. Um, I think just the energy leading up to debuting, being paired with, so my first debut match or my debut match was with Savannah Sweet.
Mhm.
Okay.
And with that, we both debuted at the same time, on the same, in the match together. And so it was something that was new, and it was just like, I don't know, it's just so different from something I've experienced in just being excited about. And then even though I lost the match, though she cheated, but um, I think like just the adrenaline that I felt like initially from that match, um, and just that being my first match was just like the greatest feeling, that I haven't felt that again.
Mhm.
Like a lot of my matches, like I do get excited about, um, but like your first one is just, I don't know if there's any topping
Right,
it.
right.
Oh,
But
was that in Covington?
it was actually at Bone Crushers,
Was
at
it?
a
Ah,
Bone
okay,
Crushers event.
okay. Because for some reason I think I saw you and Savannah wrestle at Covington. It must have been um well, it definitely wasn't your first match.
Yeah, I don't.
I thought, at least I thought that it was it
We
you.
were part of the lumberjill match between Ella and Selena Dean.
Ah, okay,
And so we were some of the lumberjills that were surrounded the ring on the outside.
that
That
was
was in hits.
that was a fun match to watch because I saw Miss Callie lay into somebody. Because normally, if she just I saw her, she was like pop pop. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
that's
you got to see a
awesome.
different side of her that night.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, I know she used to wrestle, a lot, and well, it kind of came back because, yeah, Joel, I wish I'd have caught that on video. I would have sent it to you. Oh, so well, and a lot of times I'll ask anybody, where all have you traveled to for wrestling? But in your case, I'm going to guess the Army has also sent you traveling different places. So
Yeah.
yeah, where all have you been able to? Well, we'll just go with the wrestling. Where have you been able to travel to specifically because of wrestling?
So I actually haven't traveled too much with wrestling. Like I had a couple of matches in Indiana, and I wrestled in Kentucky. Um, so just that kind of tri-state little area for now. Um, there were some other events that were supposed to happen, but unfortunately, due to just people getting sick, we
Mhm.
weren't able to do. But um, definitely look forward to doing a lot more traveling in the future.
When Big Mama, she took a whole crew up to Canada, would you have been able to go on that?
Yes. So I was supposed to go, but I think um, something happened to where, like, I guess the promoter or the individual that was, in charge of that event, um, I guess they went with one of their people, like one of the wrestlers that was already there, which kind of makes sense because, that's just another person traveling long distance. Um, so unfortunately I couldn't make that, but
So how much paperwork would you have had to? Because I mean, obviously, if you're going out of a certain area, you got to put in leave.
yeah,
But
I was definitely prepared to do the whole packet.
Yeah,
Um,
because I mean I had a security clearance when I was in, because
mhm.
I was equivalent of a 98 kilo. I was signals intel. So anytime we even looked at a map of like a different country that we want to just go visit, we're having to fill out all sorts of
It's
paperwork.
like, here you go.
Mhm.
Dude, I mean it was crazy sometimes. And then of course doing my the update every 5 years at the time. Where all have you traveled to? And it's like when I was stationed in England, it's like, oh good God, okay, dude, we went over here because if you're stationed in
Yeah.
Europe, I mean, you can't help
Yeah.
but travel because it's all right there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Being stationed in Dayton, now you're not doing a whole lot of traveling to a foreign
Right.
country there.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I wish you would have gone on that Canada trip because they all seemed like they had a pretty good time. You
Yeah,
know,
they did.
oh, and well, speaking of military and that kind of the connection, what are your thoughts on Lacey Evans?
Um, I really like her as a wrestler. Um, and I think, I mean, when I kind of got into like me wrestling, um, I think seeing her wrestle and like knowing like she also started her training when she was still active duty as a Marine. Um,
Really?
she did, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And
I thought she
so
was done. So
so I believe she started her training and I think it was like might have been her squad leader or whatever the Marine equivalent is of that that kind of got her into it. At least that's what I read. Um, and so her wrestling in WWE only a few years later
Hmm.
kind of gives me that like motivation of like you can still do this. And
Right.
there's actually like a few people um, that are veterans that are currently wrestle for WWE, which is pretty cool. And I only recently found that out. Like Bobby Lashley, he served
Hmm.
in
yep,
the
Yep.
army.
Well,
yep.
I believe Montez Ford as well.
He's a Marine.
He
Yep.
served. And so just like people like that, knowing that they've done that, you know, prior to wrestling, and then they're still able to make it, to the top of the mountain kind of deal is pretty cool.
Yep. Road Dog. He was a Marine.
Hmm.
Um, well, Randy Orton was in the Marine Corps. He got in a little trouble. He got a bad
Hmm.
conduct discharge, so he can't even call himself a Marine anymore. You know how that goes. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
you got to get that honorable discharge. You can't get a big chicken dinner and then, but he got court-martialed a couple times. But I mean, he regrets doing that. And I think who were some of the other ones, and I used to be able to just rattle them off. Now that I'm put
Yeah,
on,
me too. Yeah.
um, oh, now it's going to drive me nuts, Dwayne. I mean,
Yeah, I'll be Googling it later. Like,
in one of the very early episodes of the show, I mean, my former co-host Kyle, he's also a veteran, and he and I actually did a show talking about veterans. Being like we did like a top 10 veterans, but of course we listed a lot of other ones that we knew about. Um, and you and Lacey Evans are actually the only two female veterans that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure there's more. You know what? I'm going to Google it right now, Joel.
I don't know.
Yeah, Joel, y'all talk amongst yourselves. I'll watch this. Yeah, Joellen, you have any questions for Miss
No, not at
Jax?
the moment. Just enjoying the conversation.
Yeah, because we're going to get Joellen to come up here. Um, hopefully soon, dude. If you can come up here in March, go to the thing in Chillicothe.
Mm.
Oh, yes. I will actually be there for that.
Um, well, okay. Three female U.S. military veterans who once competed in WWE. Lacey Evans. Yep. Blah, blah, blah. Come on. Why do they have to make things on this? Big Swole.
That's right. I forgot she was in the
Oh,
military.
yeah,
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Air
Yeah.
Force. Yeah. I'll give the Air Force huh.
yeah.
Let's see. Oh, I guess she has Crohn's disease.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
does.
Ew.
Yeah, that's impacted her wrestling career a lot. She's
Oh, I
had
can.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of mine and Dwalen's best friends, his wife, she actually has Crohn's disease, and she was in the military. She was in the Air Force, and she had to be discharged for it. So,
Yeah, I had one of my NCOs had the same thing.
no fun.
While he was, yeah, I can't imagine.
Trish Adora, not
Never heard that one.
Yeah, I haven't either.
and I'm looking and hey, she was in Afghanistan. How you like that? I'm guessing she's done some dark matches because it says
Oh,
GCW,
okay.
AEW, and Beyond Wrestling. Once in the WWE ring, she lost to Kairi Sane.
Okay.
So, all right, there, Jax. You're going to be the next one we're going to see.
Yep.
Up there.
Keep my fingers crossed.
That's right. Well, I mean, you got the talent. I know that for certain. I mean, I've seen it. In fact, the last time I saw you, I was like, did y'all turn her heel? I asked Tasha, I was like, when did y'all turn her heel? And she said, tonight.
Tonight, like right now.
Yeah, I mean, and I was like, I was shocked to see you anyway because I knew you had moved, and all of a sudden, you would come back for a weekend. I was like, oh, good to see you. Why are you being mean to the other girls?
Can't lie, it was pretty fun.
Now,
it was pretty fun.
I mean, we've always asked some we know have wrestled on both sides of the coin. Which do you prefer? So what do you prefer, a face or you prefer a heel?
I can't lie. It's like since I've done it so long, like being a face is like I would say like the best. I think as probably as time goes on and as I get, more experience, my answer might change, might stay the same. But I'd say for right now, just because like I've done it so long, well, in comparison to how long I've wrestled,
Right.
that's been the most fun.
Joella, I know your answer.
Heel.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah. When I was a kid, I gravitated toward the heels. When I was an adult, I still like the heels better. I'm almost 50 and I mean, there's nothing wrong with a good baby face, but there's nothing better than a really good heel. Like right now, like MJF is just killing it as top level heel. So it's like, and from everybody we've talked to and everything I've read, it's like it's so much easier to be a heel than a face. It's so much easier to get that heel heat than it is to get the baby face heat.
But that's what makes babyface so great, though.
And that's what I've heard.
Because you have to work harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. So you knew that Nikki Victory is now a heel. She's a heel.
I did see that.
Yep. I was there when it happened. I mean, well, the sad thing about, well, not really sad, but Joel and I, we've both been watching wrestling. Joel's been watching since he was like 5. I've been watching since I was about 9 or 10. And so we see the patterns when they start to emerge.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
we saw it coming. So
yep. I was like,
we just didn't know when they were going to pull the trigger on it, but it had that slow burn, and it's like it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
They're setting everything up.
And now the way they did it when she came in and she punched Andrew Reed in a very not nice spot with a chain, and I was like, oh, there it is. And then when Riley came in to ask her, I actually got the picture when she's charging Riley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, he sent me that one. That was pretty cool.
Yep. And I also got the picture when Nikki and Joshua are laying the boots to Andrew Reed. And I was like, yep, couples goals. And I posted.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's also done heel stuff like in AEW Dark.
Yeah.
So it's not like she's never done, but that was not necessarily long term. Now, of course, she was at, one of the most popular ones there. And when they're either one of the most popular or one of the most hated, that's when you turn them, and it just builds.
Yep.
So, but some non-wrestling questions. With like, I'm going to guess that you drove back to Cincinnati. You didn't fly.
Correct.
Yeah. So when you're on the road, what's normally like on your playlist music wise? Or do you like some people some people listen to podcasts like the entire time? I'm like, I'm a podcaster. Dwayne's a podcaster. Could we listen to podcasts all the time?
Sure, why not?
I mean, sometimes I do, but we're both also music guys. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
so what's going
Honestly,
on your playlist?
I listen to a mix of stuff, and the genre will depend on what kind of mood I'm in. So, um, right now I'm listening to like Beyonce's new album.
Hmm.
Um, that's been like on repeat. I also like to listen to um, like more poppy kind of music.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I don't know. Every time someone asks me about music, it's like I forget all the music I ever listened to in my life.
I always say my
um,
music range goes from you got to hear this to don't judge me and
yeah,
everything in between.
definitely. Um, listen to like Kehlani, um, even Nico Moon. Who else? Celine Dion. Like, and it just kind of honestly, sometimes it kind of will dictate on how sleepy I am.
Right.
So if I start to get, find myself getting really tired, then I'm gonna turn on some punk rock, some like Rage Against the Machine type, like wake
Yep.
me up
Yep.
kind of stuff. But yeah, my playlist is just like mix match, like from song to song
Me
kind of
too.
deal.
I have a playlist on Amazon Music, and it's just Dad's mixtape, and it's a little bit of everything. And then I just, when I'm driving, I just hit shuffle, and I mean, you'll literally hear like five different genres by the time I drive from my house to like Walmart.
Hmm.
You know what? I did that today driving home from work, but it was just random. But it says, okay, but judging what you've listening to, but the issue is not an issue, but it's me and my wife and my daughter
Hmm.
and my son. So it's
Okay.
whatever we've all,
Right. Right.
Hmm.
yeah. So it starts with Hate Breed, and then it went to like the Midnight, then it went to Van Morrison,
Yeah.
then it went to the Beatles, then it jumped on Megadeth, then it went to Lamb of God, and then it jumped to that one song from that movie Lost Boys. I still believe, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah. Yeah.
that one, and I'm like, man, we are just really seriously all over the place. And actually, the person we've interviewed who has the prize so far for the most eclectic was King Titan.
Yes. Yes.
His it was like just like wow.
Yeah.
And I think after him was Joe Pro James. His
Yeah. I
was
think
another
so. Yeah.
one that
I
was
believe
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I took some
I
notes. I
believe
took some notes from both of
it.
them on
yeah.
songs. I was like, hey, I hadn't heard this one. Let me check that one out.
And actually, I think Joe Pro he said it. He said, well, he said I like kind of a mixture of country and jazz, and so really one of my favorites is the Allman Brothers. I'm like, oh, that makes sense then.
Yeah.
Kind
Yeah.
of country
Yeah.
and jazz
It kind of,
together.
yep.
Yep. So, and while you were in Cincinnati, I'm pretty sure that you got to try the different chilies. And so you should probably know the next question. Which do you prefer, Skyline or Gold Star?
I do not prefer either.
Ah,
I
Ah,
do
okay.
not.
look at that.
Yeah,
So you've tried them
that
both
is
and
not
just
my
don't like
jam.
them?
Yeah. Well, yeah, either that or she's really that much against Ohio being from Michigan.
That was partially it. That
It's
was
like,
partially it. It
like
took
not,
me a long time to
like I'm not
even
even
try
trying
them
it.
because I was like, oh no. And then I'm like, chocolate and cinnamon don't go in chili, so I don't.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's
I
Yeah.
not.
mean, it, all
Nah.
right. I gotta admit, I mean, I
It's not a
probably
supplementary ingredient. It's not a main ingredient.
No, it just should
You
not be
just don't
there.
go.
It shouldn't
Yeah,
be
just
there.
don't go there.
I've never
um
tried it, but those two ingredients should not go in chili.
well, dude, when you come up here, we're gonna have to go to Skyline. You're gonna be like MJF. The first time they came to Cincinnati,
Yeah.
I'm sitting there watching. I'm watching on TV because I'm stupid and buy tickets for the event 30 miles away, but we're watching it, and my wife, a lot of times she doesn't pay attention. She tries to pretend she's not a wrestling fan. But she heard MJF say something about Skyline. She turned around and looked, and she's like, "Do what? What do you say? What?"
Yeah.
She's like, "Do I need to go down there?"
It's mid.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
mid.
But then the next time he came back, he actually tweeted. He's like, "You know what? I tried it. It's not mid." He actually did.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw it on
Yeah.
Twitter. He was like, I was wrong. He did
Yeah.
add, he's like, that's the only time you're ever gonna hear me say that. But
But how about Frisch's with the whole tartar sauce and hamburger?
Yeah,
Not
no,
not
that's
not digging
not.
that either.
No.
yeah, I tried that when I lived there's a Frisch's in Louisville when I went to school there, and I tried that, and it's like, nah, can't eat. No, I'm not a fan of tartar sauce anyway, but I tried it because I had friends up there and they were like, "Oh, this is amazing. You got to try it." And I tried it and I'm like, I just ruined my sandwich. No.
I mean, okay. It's not that I'm a big, Ohio would not have been my first choice as a states to move to when I retired. But my wife is from here, and so and it could, she's going to be close to her family. And I had my notes up, and they disappeared. And I've gotten used. Okay, I don't mind Frisch's. I actually will order a big boy with the tartar sauce on there. If I had to choose one between Skyline and Gold Star, probably Skyline, but I won't turn down Gold Star. Uh, Putting chili on spaghetti to me is still a little weird, but I usually get the conies. A
Yeah,
hot dog with chili on it, like a chili cheese dog.
I mean, chili cheese dog's fine, but just
Yeah.
chili on spaghetti, no, no.
Oh, trust me, you tell people like around here, who grew up with it, and they're like, "What do you mean you don't put chili on spaghetti?" It's like,
Yeah, it's like disrespectful.
uh, now I know your feelings on that. The university up in Columbus. But what do you think about the candy, the Buckeyes?
I've actually never had any.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, do you like Reese's?
I
Like
do.
the chocolate and peanut butter thing? That's really what it is. It's like a peanut butter ball surrounded by chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I just haven't. I also don't eat a lot of candy though too, so I wouldn't be inclined to buy it if I saw it. But
So, what is your workout schedule like?
like,
Is it Army PT every day, like every morning?
fortunately, so we do. So right now, I am an instructor for the ROTC program
Okay.
at the university, and so um, we do PT 3 days a week, and then outside of that, um, I go to like the gym on campus, like 2 days a week. So usually like Monday and Wednesday, because those are 2 days that I don't have class. And then after work, I go basically every day of the week, minus maybe Sunday. I usually don't, but usually, so 3 days like mandatory, like wake up early,
Mm-hmm.
wake up at 5 to go work out and do whatever workout they're doing for the day. And then outside of that, I just try to go during lunch and then I go after work.
Oh, okay. So not the hard. Well, my stepdad was a Green Beret, so I was used to him doing those kind of workouts. Which
Mm-hmm.
have you ever seen the Special Forces workouts? And like, he asked me if I wanted to do that, and I was like, no, no, that's all right. No,
Yes.
No, it's all right.
no, I'm good. Because we're talking like I actually had some weights at my house, you know, and he grabbed the plates and he took them to work, and he never brought them back home, you know. But I was like, hey, where are they at? But I said, what were you doing with them? He put them in a backpack, and they had a stadium on Fort Campbell, like where the high school, is where their
Mhm.
football field was. He would run up the steps, down the bleachers, up the steps, down the bleachers till he got to the other end. Then he'd go up the bleachers, down the steps, up the bleachers with that backpack with
Oh, wow.
however much.
Yeah, that's too high speed for me.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. So,
my hat's off to him. That's
That makes my back
dedication.
hurt just thinking about it.
oh
Same,
yeah,
same.
and yeah. So, now, yeah, well, because you're a captain, but
Yes.
usually the head instructor, I'm guessing, is either major, light colonel, or full bird.
Yeah, it's a lieutenant colonel.
Okay. Yeah, but you have your own crew, platoon. I
Um,
don't know the Army term. I'm sorry. I
yeah,
should know this, you would think, but I don't because it's company and then platoon.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So, the way that the ROTC programs are usually set up is, um, they have established like cadet leadership. So there's a cadet battalion commander, there's, cadet battalion XO, company commander, etc., like all the way down the line, down to, platoon sergeant, platoon leader, squad leader. Um, and so when it comes to, um, making decisions and stuff like that about the program, usually the cadet battalion commander kind of consults with the lieutenant colonel, um, and kind of either back briefs or, um, kind of shoots ideas at them to see like, hey, is this something that kind of makes sense for us to do? And he kind of gives them a kind of yes or no. And then for me, I kind of mentor the cadet battalion XO.
Okay.
And so since their job is to synchronize, the different staff positions and make sure everything is, um, coordinated, between the different sections that have things to do for training events or, um, just like day-to-day activities within ROTC, or if we're doing like recruiting events, things like that. Um, I just kind of give her ideas of things to think about and then make sure that while we're planning training and, um, coordinating resources and things like that, um, that she's basically on the right track. So I'm not going to do the work for her. Um, and the cadets here, like, they're smart and they are go getters. So, for the most part, they go and do the thing. And then if there's something that they just are really not sure of, or, um, that they just would like some actual army folks input on to make sure that this thing makes sense, and we just kind of make sure like, yeah, it makes sense, and then, um, kind of give them the army spin on it. So
Mhm.
for some folks, this is their first kind of exposure to the army, and to some people have never touched a weapon before, they've never even seen a weapon in person before other than like TV. And so, um, there's some people who have, and so we kind of have to meld the training to fit all of those
Right.
individuals, and then make sure that we're doing it in the way that makes sense, but also giving them leeway to kind of make decisions, since that's what they're going to be doing as lieutenants.
So you train the future leaders.
Yeah.
And so now you need to open up your own school out there.
Mhm.
Maybe not in this specific area, but
Maybe not
Right.
there, but I mean, because you're already used to teaching and you're already a leader, know that. So you can have kind of recruit some of your cadets. Hey, let's start a wrestling thing over here. But then that might just get you in trouble.
Right.
well,
Yeah.
we did just start a combatives team, so
Oh, there you go.
we'll get some sort of training in.
All right. You might be the perfect person to ask about this because when I was going through a school down in Pensacola at a Navy base, I was Air Force, went to tech school at a Navy base, and the Army was doing their combat training. And I told somebody, use the Cobra clutch. And they looked at me and they're like, what the heck is that? and, and I said, basically, it's a double sleeper hold. And I explained, you grab one side, you grab the arm, the other one, you have their, I said, and you're actually applying pressure on both sides of the neck. It's like a double sleeper hold.
Mhm.
And I don't think anybody tried it. One person said they were trying to try it, but they never were able to really get it on. Would you use that when you're teaching combative maneuvers?
Uh, maybe not. Uh,
I'm
just
telling you,
because
I think it's a legit move, but that's just me.
it is a legit move. However, when you're talking about, um, so and I'm not specifically the combatives instructor just because I've not been trained to be a combatives instructor.
Right.
But from what I've observed is, when you're applying those kind of holds, it's to cut off circulation, and that's what causes, the individual to pass out so quickly rather than to cut off airflow.
Hmm.
So I don't know how much pressure can be applied to the correct area to kind of
Gotcha.
do that
Hmm.
quickly.
Well, if you ever decide to do it,
I will try it out just for you and then
All
let you
right.
know how it goes.
Cool. Now, if you get in trouble, I will erase this video.
Yeah, it's like delete.
Delete. Look, I don't know what y'all talking about. I was like the little 5 foot little captain. Yeah, she went crazy.
Yeah, it's like she lost her mind. I don't
She
know what
went crazy.
happened.
And I say 5 foot. How tall are you?
I am 5'3".
5'3". Okay. So you and Tiny Tim are actually the same height. He told us that on this show. He said I'm 5'3" on a good day. So I actually talked to him yesterday. He goes to my church, and so
Oh, nice.
so I see him, kind of regularly. Which I'm trying to figure out something else to talk to him about, besides wrestling. But then again, he loves wrestling too because he does it. I mean, but yeah, so yeah, like I said, okay, the little 5'3" captain over there. I don't know why she's blaming me. I'm retired master sergeant here. I tried to tell her.
Right. I tried to tell her it's not the
You
thing to
know,
do.
Look,
She didn't listen.
She did not listen. I was trying to be a good senior NCO and mentor the officer, but she said, "Look here, I'm not a lieutenant anymore. I'm a captain."
Yeah. Like I'm a captain.
Yeah, I'm a captain. Yeah. So everybody just froze up just for a second. So,
Yeah.
so do you see yourself staying in the Army? I know it's kind of an off the rest, but do you see yourself making it a career?
So I honestly am kind of thinking about that currently. So I'm kind of open to it. But I'm also kind of ready to like move on to the next thing too. So
It's a tough decision. I mean,
yeah.
believe me, I wanted to do well. First I was like wanting to make it a career, and then I went to my first duty station. I'm like, I don't think I want to do this. Then I went home and leave, and I saw nobody had jobs, and I had a job, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna keep my job. So
It's so hard. And like
yeah, it is.
once you've been in, it's it's scary, like to a certain extent, because like if this is the only thing that you've done, for the majority of your adult life, um, it's just kind of I don't know what else to go into. And then not only that, it's trying to figure out, okay, what can I do after this that can get me at least near the amount of money?
Right.
Because there's so many things that, you know, being in that you kind of, I don't want to say like take for granted, but like the BAH, the,
Hmm.
substance pay on top of your base pay, like you don't get any of that on the civilian side. And then, insurance and like, medical things like that you have to take into account that now is going to become a regular cost to you is just, another thing that you have to take into account and you have to be prepared. So it's definitely something I'm looking into. And I'm also looking at other options right now too. So I'm just right now I have two plans of action. So if I do get out, then it'll probably be sometime end of next year. Just because the way that officers like contracts work, like
Right.
I have already completed my contract, and so I have to apply to get out. Um, so that's like plan A, which I'm currently like doing research just to get everything kind of figured out beforehand. And then the other piece is um, I just found that they have a like master's of education program.
Okay.
And so they are currently looking for seats for like the beginning of May of this year, which would add like another 18 months, like a minimum that I would have to do after the program is complete. So it starts in May and then it ends like the 1st of September. And so the 18 months will start after the 1st of September. So um, if I can do that program, that will be cool. But again, it just depends on what the slots look like and then if they pick me up for it. So
Is that what your undergrad is education?
no, it's actually psych.
Okay.
But it's a way to get graduate, credits. And then I can apply that to at least my electives for the master's program that I actually want to go into.
Okay.
So
Is that at the school that you're at right now teaching, or is that a different school?
no. So that master's of education program is actually through the University of Louisville. And
Okay.
so
Okay.
Yeah.
if I get
Yeah,
accepted
Dwalen's
to
happy
that,
about that.
Yeah.
so if I get accepted to that, then I would spend a month at University of Louisville, um, taking classes and doing all of that. And then after that, I was going to go into, so right now, like I'm applying to grad school for Master's of Social Work. And so, but I'm currently applying to like the University of Kentucky for that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So,
So you go down to Louisville and hit up OVW while you're there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I know a couple of the NWF women have wrestled over there and some of the men as well. So um I mean
Yeah.
they've had
They just
pretty
had a
good
big
experiences over there.
they just had a big women's event down at OVW, and I can't remember the name of it, but there was like about
The
five.
women's rumble,
Yeah.
Nightmare Rumble. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because like Big Mama, I, she told me everybody that went, and I was like, crap, I can't remember them all now.
Yeah, it
Um,
was Ella, Riley,
I think Savannah Sweet was that one for that
Savannah.
one. Um,
Um,
I,
I think that was it. Oh, and then Anika, Anika
that's right.
and
Yep.
Savannah had the match down there. Yeah.
Uh,
And
see,
Nikki. Yeah.
they ought to have you and Anika go against each other, so we get really old school thing going. You know, the army captain against the Russian.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I was it's crazy that we haven't had a one-on-one match against each other yet. I've wrestled her at the women's event, but it was a tag team match.
right.
And then um, me, her, and Riley had a triple threat at one of the Bone Crushers events. But yeah, no one-on-one yet.
See, we need to talk to somebody, Joel.
Yeah. Need to
That's
exert a little
money.
influence to get that going.
And real quick, because we're going to have to go in and
Yeah.
start winding it down. But notice you got a little ink on there on your arms. I didn't know if you and Dwaylen wanted to kind of compare.
Dude, I'm actually
Yeah.
looking to get some more.
Same.
Got that.
Last count, I'm at 25.
Oh,
I want to just be covered, not the back of my hands or my neck or my face, but everywhere else is fine.
mm-hmm.
I'm,
Yeah, I'm at 4, so I got some catching up to do.
I say I'm still at 0. Not that I wouldn't. Not at one point actually I was in line. There was when I was in Japan, there was a Marine. He would do them in the barracks, and he did really good work. I mean, I know it sounds like he's a barracks. I know he was like certified, trained, and everything. I mean, and it actually was safe because he did really good work.
Oh, okay.
And and but he had a line of people. If that says anything, he actually had like
Yeah.
a waiting
Mhm.
list, but he could only do it, of course, on his days off. Fortunately,
Right.
he and I we had the same days off.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like number 3, on the waiting list, and then he got in trouble and he was put on barracks restriction.
Oh.
And by the time that he was off of that, I had left.
Yeah.
It may have been a good thing though, because there's two things I was still thinking about getting. One, the Grim Reaper, because at the time I was kind of into stuff like that.
Okay.
And the other one would have been Yosemite Sam playing a bass guitar.
That is legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's when you're 22, 23 years old, that's the
Oh
kind of
yeah. Yeah, I've got them like all over here, over here. And then I got one on each calf. I got one on my chest. I feel off because I have one here, but not one here. So I have to get something else
You
here.
gotta be symmetrical.
Yeah. But yeah, I've got a bunch.
But well, I mean, I can't say much, but she's saying only four, Waylon. What do we say about that?
Hey, you got to bump those are rookie numbers. You got to bump those up.
So, Waylon, do you have anything else?
No, it has been a pleasure talking to you. I hope we get to
Yes,
talk to you again.
for sure. I thank you guys for having me. I
Oh,
really
you're
look
very
forward
welcome.
to doing this. So
But
it's my first interview.
Awesome.
really,
sure.
Awesome.
okay.
It's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
So,
Glad we could be your first interview.
yeah. I mean, how many times? How long have I been bugging you?
I know.
It's like, oh, God.
Yeah. Every time I see her, like, you will come on the podcast? Yeah. And
Like,
then you
we
left.
can fit you in.
Yeah. And then she left, and I was like, well, I don't know if I've ever had it on. And all of a sudden, it was last week when you hit me up, said, hey, do you
Mhm.
still, can I still come on? I was like, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, thank you so much for coming
Yes.
on.
Thank you.
Hopefully, you don't get too bored out in the middle, like,
Out in the middle of nowhere.
yeah.
That's why I go to the gym so much.
Give you something to do. And I will
That's
follow.
what I do now.
I will follow you on Instagram. I didn't
Yeah,
realize you were on
sure.
there, but
If
I'll
I
follow
I
you.
believe I already do, but if I don't, I will. Yeah, I think I already. I mean, obviously, your personal Facebook. Yeah, Dwaylen, you can. Dwaylen, he'll send you a friend request.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
for sure.
he's one of my closest friends, and so you have to accept it just based on that alone.
Just based
Yeah.
off that.
Yeah,
Yep.
we've been friends for what, 30?
Since the fall of 1989, I think, our junior
Yeah,
year.
Oh wow.
going on 33 years.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and here we are.
Yeah.
Podcast partners.
Yep.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep. Fun stuff. Fun funs, but thank you so much again for coming
Yes.
on.
Thank you very
Yes,
much.
thank you guys for having me.
Oh yeah, and then whenever you want to come on again, just let me know. All right.
For sure.
All
Thank
right.
you guys.
All right. Good night. God bless.
God bless.